Welcome, guys, to a new episode of the Real Football Talk. I'm your host, Hassan. I have Adil with me. We'll be discussing, well, Everton should have been a big opportunity for them to go into the semi-final, which they haven't won a major trophy for the last 26 years against Man City, who currently on the run for a quadruple. Adil, what was your take on the game and how it went?
Yeah, obviously, pretty dominant performance from Manchester City, and it was clear to see that Everton's setup was to play on the counter. They actually stifled City quite well with the 5-3-2 formation, but I thought at the end the Everton players just ran out of legs, and City bringing on a few of their subs, fresher legs, just turned the game, because you could see, after 80th minute, Everton just couldn't maintain the counter attacks that they were able to do during the whole game up until that point. So yeah, again, phenomenal performance from City. I don't think Everton didn't do terrible. You could see what they're trying to do. You could see how there was a way for them potentially to get a goal on the counter, but ultimately they just don't have the quality to punish a team.
On that, one thing that I noticed kind of, and it was kind of pointed out also, Kyle Walker's positioning, he wasn't pushed forward as much as Zinchenko. So the threat and the pace of Richarlison, so they left someone pacey back simply to counter that kind of transition and that counter attack from Everton.
Yeah, so if you just then we can just go into show the tactics board. Basically, what it was is, it wasn't just the threat of Richarlison. I think they were also worried about Digne, who was really fast in on the counter attack and pushing forward. So I think what it was is and this is why Everton were able to cause problems, because today, for all the domination City had, whenever Everton broke, they were always able to keep the ball and actually push the ball up the pitch, and therefore push the team up the pitch. And the main reason was because of Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. Basically, Diaz and Laporte could not dominate them, and Fernandinho. So what they did, as much as they tried winning the balls, they couldn't win the ball off Calvert-Lewin or Richarlison without giving away a foul. So then what happened was, because the 1v1 matchup here that Ancelotti has set up, that his two strikers were dominant in that, they were able to always create breaks where, Calvert-Lewin would play it back into midfield, or Richarlison, and then they straight away look for the quick spread to Digne. I think that, so this is the thing about this year's City, is they tactically respect teams a bit more. So you're right in the sense that Walker wasn't pushing as much, because he was kind of expecting the bit where Richarlison will run in potentially, or Digne overlapping.
And obviously, if kind of Calvert-Lewin flicks it on, then Richarlison will easily beat the two centre backs for pace.
Yeah. So that was the main way of attack that Everton were looking to attack, and obviously City recognized that and kind of left Walker to stay, and he had Zinchenko very high up. And the thing was, Foden wasn't running back when Digne went. Even Mahrez, when he came, wasn't doing it. So they deliberately decided, okay, we're going to leave Walker there, and when Digne goes, we're gonna leave him 1-on-1 to defend that, and we're gonna allow Zinchenko to stay up a bit more. So so that's basically the game hinged on that one counter-attack move that Everton had set up for, and they were able to make quite a few of those breaks, but the quality wasn't there. Carlison and Calvert-Lewin just couldn't cause enough problems, even though they were good enough to win the ball and beat the press and keep the ball alive, better than most teams have done. Individual quality wasn't enough to beat Laporte, Diaz, and the goalkeeper Stefan. So, that was the problem, and obviously how deep Everton played. The intelligent thing with Everton was they allowed City to have the ball. They didn't go for the high press. And what City like to do is they like to score in the inside forward channels. These are the areas most of their attack comes, and they'll do a cross and score an open goal.
Or a tap in.
Yeah. And so these are the areas they love to overload, is to create the channels outside of the centre backs. So obviously Ancelotti has done his homework. What he's done is he's blocked that channel attack out by going to get the back, but he's also blocked the channel out for Dogan or Bernardo Silva to go into that channel, because sometimes this season's version of City, the wingers have stayed out wide.
Yeah.
And it's been the attacking midfielders going in and the fullbacks going into their position. So what he did, he sat for both eventualities, because as if they tried going in to these positions, they still had 3 men for the 1-2s
to battle with the two
combination for the combination play. Yeah. So the reason why City kind of struggled was, one, they went to that narrow system where they played the narrow system where it was more Bernardo Silva and Gundogan. In the first half, anyway, they were the ones playing slightly wider. Foden was coming in, Sterling was coming in, and just on this left side, it was Zinchenko out wide. So that was the picture that City were creating in the first half and trying to attack. But it was still nullified by Everton's system, because they had 3 midfielders staying very deep. So and what was really good was Jesus could not win the individual battles. Every time he dropped in to win try and link up the play, and that was surprising. City played quite a bit, especially start of the second half. They switched it slightly. They went back to their normal game of Zinchenko still was push up, but not as much.
Getting the wingers further out wide.
Yeah, slightly further out wide. Foden didn't really, but Bernardo was there, but Gundogan was running in more, joining in more. So so they switched it and they tried playing through the middle second half, but Jesus was losing the individual battle, especially against Godfrey. I mean, Godfrey was really good in one-on-ones today, and he dominated Gabriel Jesus the whole game. So that was the problem, and the game really turned. I feel on the legs, really, once De Bruyne came on and City kind of freshened up with Mahrez and De Bruyne. From the 80th minute onwards, there was a few promising attacks, and Everton there's one point where Sigurdsson was on the right, and no other player actually wanted to give themselves an option to get the ball. They were so tired. And you could tell the lack of strength in depth for Everton cost them, because the system was still working. They weren't giving away a whole lot of chances. I think Keep had to make one really good, decent save from Sterling before that point, but the rest was the kind of contained. So I just think the legs gave way, and De Bruyne is special. I mean, once De Bruyne came on for Bernardo, I mean, he's just on a different level. So what he did was he was quite lazy. He was staying back a lot, and letting the play happen ahead of him. And then what he'd do is he's coming in right from the blind side. So he was the only one who was actually coming into the pocket vacated by Jesus. He's the only one who actually came. Everyone else was in the around their man, but what De Bruyne did was he straight into the pocket and he stayed in the 10 position. So then that forced Mina out. and that's just that extra game intelligence and awareness of space that De Bruyne has.
But also, I mean, like you kind of said, because they were so tired, it's harder for them to kind of cover up all the gaps that are kind of left behind by the players. So there isn't too much option. And this is where City, I guess, benefit because of their hugely vast squad that they have, full of quality, where they can make 6-7 changes every week and still feel the very competitive team that could challenge for, title in any.
I mean, the thing is, we don't know how much the rotation could actually affect City, because the thing is, people aren't actually really going for it against them because they're not being brave enough. We don't know. I mean, this game, to be honest, from the first whistles, City started really sharp. They're passing, they're taking the ball under pressure in tight spaces. They started really strong. So the rhythm was there from the off. But you never know on the defensive end, the amount of changes they make regularly, whether that could, whether teams can capitalize it, because no one's really having the bravery to go for it against them.
Do you think that fear factor is coming back again of City? It kind of went after last year, when they kind of had the struggles with people counter-attacking them and the speed. Do you think that fear factor is coming back again since the highest scoring season points?
I think it's natural when a team goes on a run the way City have, that it ends up, teams, because every team's tried their own way to beat the City team. They've done many different things. Obviously, Manchester United were the only team who are actually able to beat. But if you look at teams have done low block, high press, 6 at the back, 3 at the back, 5 at the back. Teams have tried many different things, and this City team is tactically very flexible and adaptable, and that's what's really the problem is. You really don't know where the threat's coming from. You don't know who's going to be out wide. Is it the fullbacks? Is it going to be the central midfielders, or is it the actual wingers? You don't know, and so if you play a more man market system like Leeds do, then you're going to end up moving everyone all over the place. And if you play a more zonal system like Everton did today, eventually it'll catch up with you, because obviously they're taking the ball in tight spaces, so they're forcing you to still come out to them. They force you to tackle, and they force, they always
they commit you. That's the one of the, I think, Pep Guardiola's one of his philosophy or ideas, that you have to commit a player before you release the ball. So they will always commit the player that's next to them to get them out of that space.
Yeah, and that's what tires players are. I mean, I got worried because Alan got the yellow card in the first 50 minutes, and you're like, okay, but he managed to rein himself in and stay disciplined. But yeah, I mean, City are just formidable at the moment.
Were you impressed with the goalkeeper, the 23-year-old that came in? Obviously, the first choice, second choice, both keepers were out.
I mean,
how impressed were you?
He done everything that was expected of him. He done a good job. He done good saves. Done an excellent save from Sterling. Even the save from Laporte's shot onto the bar was a great save. There wasn't an awful lot he could do for both goals, in all honesty. So he was good.
I mean, he's only going to do himself good because obviously Carlo Ancelotti seems to kind of switch the keepers, etc. So he might put himself in there for that.
Well, obviously Pickford and the backup keeper, I've forgotten his name now. They're both injured, so that's the reason why. But the other thing is, it's easier to keep when you got a system, because you got to remember, it was a flat 5.
Yeah,
it wasn't like a wing back system. It was a flat 5, a narrow 5 as well. Digne was really tucked in. Coleman was really tucked in. So it's a narrow 5 plus 3 defensive mids. There was never going to be a time where he's going to have a shot where he doesn't have people in the way covering part of the goal. So really, and he did
helps him.
it well. Showed good positioning. Done good. Looks promising.
With regards to something I mentioned earlier in the introduction, really, City and the chances of the quadruple. What's your view on that? What do you think? Can they do it? Can this be the year? Because of the amount of ways they can play, the amount of changes they've been making, everyone seems to be kind of gelling to this new idea and concept that he has, and everyone's kind of has that belief within the system.
Yeah, I mean the fact that he's trusting everyone, utilizing everyone, indicates that they got a better chance than they ever had previously. But I still think it's a tough ask simply because of the striker situation. I still think not having a striker will end up costing them somewhere along the line in one of these cup competitions. I just think they're having to work hard to score goals. I mean, they're having to create a lot of chances before they get their goals. I don't think they're at their efficient best.
So why not play Aguero then, if that's the case, Adu?
When you go on a run like City have, you can't, Aguero has to fight for his place back in that team. And who are you going to drop? Ultimately, the team's winning without him. Yeah. But I just think eventually, there'll be a big game where you're going to miss not having a clinical finisher. I mean, you got, Mahrez and you got Foden, you got a few players who are filling in and they do look more clinical, but, you can see games where, Sterling isn't, doesn't punish you enough, takes too many. I think even De Bruyne, sometimes he's shot shy, doesn't always, finish off his one-on-one chances. So, you always have that question mark. Jesus always needs loads of chance before he ends up scoring. So if there was any concern, it'd be that, can they put away their chances? Do they have that? Because Aguero is not clearly part of the plans at the moment.
But this is the reason I'm trying to ask so many is surely he could kind of find a way to kind of even give him enough minutes to kind of get him ready, get him to be ready. So when those situation comes, that he's ready. Because if he doesn't get that confidence and that run of games that he needs, would he be able to just come on and do magic straight away?
No, but the thing is, he's not a big part of the plans anymore. You can tell. As much as we may rate him as a ex-prolific striker, you have to ask: would City be dominating games as much as they would be with Aguero in the team? There's an argument to say maybe they wouldn't be dominating as much. So there's something he brings to the team, but it also diminishes the team as well by being in the lineup. And obviously, that's what Pep's gone with. Is a team where when Jesus plays, Jesus is playing as a false nine. He clearly wants to embed this false nine system into City's identity. So yeah, I think Aguero's days are numbered. I mean, he ain't gonna sign a new contract. He ain't gonna be offered a new contract, and if that's the case, it makes sense to move forward without him.
Well, I mean, he's a City legend, to be honest, and to go that way is not the best of ways, but I'm sure he'll probably win the Premier League and go, so it's not too bad, to be honest. On the flip, let's look at Everton. Was this a kind of big chance missed? Because you look at all these other teams around like Liverpool, Man City, they really haven't got anything else they're fighting for. This could be something that they could have, really challenge for and win a silverware for their club, especially someone like Everton, considering what a good season they're having.
Everton have achieved what they could have, only could, because if you think about it, they came up against the best team in the Premiership and in the country at the moment, and they lost to them in the Cup. So they're going as far as they can. I mean, a lot depended on the draw. If they never had City and they had anyone else, they could have had a bit more of a fighting chance to progress to the semi-finals, but they ended up with the strongest team left in the competition. So I don't think it can be too harsh on Everton. because of the fact that they clearly lacking in that squad. When you look at the two squads, they've got an excellent base. You would say in terms of defenders, they seem to have good defenders. Terms of midfielder, defensive midfield, they seem to have good options, good cover there. Where they're struggling is maybe they need a right back to replace Coleman. Coleman is quite old now. I think they need a bit more of so basically out wide. I think Digne is very good, but right back and the two winger positions is an area I think they definitely need to look through.
That's what I was gonna say. This team lacks speed, it seems to me. It has all the technical prowess and the ability and the work ethic and everything, but it seems like it lacks that speed from somewhere. Because apart from like you said, Digne or Richarlison, everyone else just.
Or even Calvert-Lewin. I mean, Calvert-Lewin is quite pacey. Today he showed it quite a few times.
I mean, in terms of real quick speed, to someone who can really make a difference with that. Because speed cheats you goal, so that's something maybe they need.
I just think that's the squad they've got. It's promising signs because at the end of the day, they are punching above their weight in the league. They are going as far as they could in the FA Cup. They came up against the best team. There's no shame in losing 2-0 to City, and it was a terrible performance. I mean, it was defensive, it was organized, but they did, when they counter-attack, and that's a positive. I still would say it's positive, the fact that Man City could not dominate Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. I mean, you got two players there that are very good at holding up the ball and winning that ball and keeping the play going. So that's something to build on. So I think for the squad and the balance of the squad that they've got, Ancelotti is doing excellent. He's doing what he can, and Everton fans should have promised that a lot depends on the signings. If they get good signings on board, they will be closing that gap continuously to the teams above them, because you have a quality manager. And there was nothing about their approach today that was really disgraceful. I thought it was quite good. They were positive when they got onto the ball. They never actually were afraid to attack. They looked to attack. They looked to get goals. They lacked the quality, and they pushed up the pitch. So even though it was a defensive setup, it was a good counter-attacking setup.
I mean, let's hope the board kind of back Ancelotti really, so we could see what he could fully do.
But, well, they got a good owner who seems to be doing things in the right ways, putting the money in for a new stadium, ambitious. I think it's Fahd Moshiri or something. So it looks like they have an owner who's got money to burn and is willing to invest in the club. It's more about whether they get the right recruitment, because obviously there's rumors about is it Marcel Brands, who's the current director of football, that they haven't renewed his contract. So it depends on what directions they go, because obviously he started off with some maybe poor signings under the Coleman era, but under Ancelotti he's done a lot better. So it depends what direction.
A lot down to Ancelotti as well, then the influence from him.
Yeah, because a lot of the players they went for players, Ancelotti knew in Allen, Rodriguez, the players that he's already seen at previous clubs. So I think that's helped. And the other thing is they've managed to clear out some of the players like Tosin and other players who weren't really part of the plan. They've slowly started to clear out. And I think Godfrey was an excellent signing. Looking at him today, he looks like he's got excellent potential. He really dominated Gabriel Jesus today every time.
Every position he plays, he seems to be, doing really well and improving as a player, and looks more confident since his Norwich days. And he seems better as a player. It's not just. I think it's a lot of credit. Obviously, has to go to Ancelotti and the system that he plays in, and the way he's kind of developing him, giving that confidence. I mean, he seems like a real promising future.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I was surprised. I don't think he was in the England squad, was he? So
no.
I think he's definitely someone to keep an eye on, simply because of the fact that I've seen quite a few of the big games, and he's marked out the opposition's main striker, marked him out the game.
Seems very
That's
good one on
that's
one.
yeah, and the pace. I mean, the pace he has is phenomenal. I mean, it's quite a few times I've seen him, and he's kept up with the fastest players in the league. So I just think he's someone that definitely Gareth Southgate should be having a good look at when you look at some of the defenders that's in the England squad. I would definitely think Godfrey should be part.
I mean, maybe let's have this for a different topic, really, that we can really focus into the England team that they picked. Adil, thank you for coming on today. I mean, some critical information came out about Everton and what their future might hold for them, and with regards to Man City, whether they could actually go for the quadruple. So thank you guys. Do keep watching. We have other videos coming out.
We have the obviously West Ham, Arsenal.
West Ham, Arsenal, yes, we do. That's coming out. We also have the Manchester United game coming up.
Leicester,
Against Leicester in the FA Cup, and we should hopefully have also the Spurs Aston Villa game coming up. So yeah, do keep an eye out, guys. And as always, like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.